They're no Rocci Stucci, but they'll have to do. The low-budget answer for your deranged listening habits. Stu and Rich. Patriotically correct radio.
Mojo 50 Radio. That's where we're at. iHeartRadio. If you're listening live on iHeartRadio to the Mojo station. Lots of great programming over there. Everything from Brad Staggs with the Morning Mojo with producer Ron. And then, of course, throughout the afternoon, Rocci Stucci on at night. And we have him here on our afternoon broadcast to really mess up the airwaves, probably looking at some FCC violations. Also, by the way, when we broadcast live, we also broadcast on our social media accounts. So if you're friends with us on Facebook, if you like our page at Patriotically Correct Radio, we also broadcast live on the Twitters for now, and as long as they're going to let us. And then also, more importantly, because we're talking about new algorithms, right? We're talking about Facebook censoring us. We're talking about Twitter getting rid of our stuff, shadow banning us, getting rid of our content, removing followers. I've seen a lot of people who are having their followers just mysteriously go away by the hundreds. So when they start doing that to us, the way to protect yourself and still be a part of the Truth Brigade is to go download that Opslens app. If you're not familiar with the Opslens app, educate yourself. It's really easy. OPSLENS, the Opslens app. It's available in the marketplace. Go download that thing. You can view us. You can comment. Nothing will be censored. Absolutely nothing. But the cool thing about that is, let's say that you're involved with like a protest or a riot, or something is going on in your city that the media doesn't cover. Weird, right? Like that never happens. When the media is not covering it, they don't have their cameras there. You can be an independent journalist, upload that stuff right here to the PC radio page. We play your stuff right here, and we break news. Rocky, you've done it 100 times before. And by the way, welcome to PC Radio. We appreciate you being here with your busy schedule. We know that you're famous as hell, and it's nearly impossible to get you to come on the show. So thank you for being here on this Monday afternoon, sir. How are you?
Brother, you know, it's always an honor to share the microphone with both of you gentlemen, man. I'm doing fantastic, and I bid good day to everybody.
Well, you know, and the thing is, if it wasn't for Rocci Stucci, PC Radio wouldn't even be here. We actually were interviewing on Stucci's program, The Situation Room. If you're unfamiliar, you must be living under a damn rock. Rocci Stucci's Situation Room. We were on there a couple of times because we're bounty hunters, and he thought that was interesting. By the way, we still got to get you on a ride along.
Yes, we do.
And but
can
so
we hack it is the question.
Couple of interviews, and then all of a sudden we start getting the, hey man, you should have your own show. And then I was like, absolutely not, hell no way. I did radio. I'm out of radio, and then boom, here we are. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Bless you, Richard.
Here's the thing, though, Stu. You know what? When I had the privilege to first meet you gentlemen through our mutual friend Travis, and you guys came over here, and we just hung out. We were smoking cigars. We were just having conversations. And you know, you're in this radio industry for a long time. I think I'm going on 8 or 9 years. I've been in this industry, seen a lot of people come and go. Mm-hmm. You know, when you sit down and talk to somebody like you, like Stu Peters or Big Rich, and you guys are talking with passion and your knowledge and the level of your the way you can approach things from an intellectual perspective and not just an emotional perspective. I thought that was impressive as hell. And then when you were telling me about your past, your history with radio and everything like that, it was almost a shoo-in. So it's just like, you know, if you believe in your cause and you find somebody who has a voice and you have a team of people that can get out there and get messages out there and get truth to people in regards to a lot of these current events, I would be a fool not to at least nudge both you guys a little bit. All I did was give you guys the nudge. You guys put in all the work. You guys are doing phenomenal.
Well, appreciate it, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So he made the introduction to the people over at Opslens, made the introduction to the people over at Mojo 50 Radio, and then here we are. We got a store coming soon also, by the way, next week. So if you have some shirt ideas, Stucci, make sure that you send them over. The first one, should I talk about the first one that I'm doing, Rich? Should I just go ahead and tease the shirt?
Great.
All right, it's going to be, you've got the dictionary, right? You go to the dictionary, you put in a word, and it gives you that it's a noun, and then it gives you, the definition. So our first one is Antifa, it's a noun, and it is the definition, ISIS for pussies. There we go.
That's a trailblazer right there.
I think so. Of course, there will be an American flag on the sleeve of every PC radio shirt to proudly display your patriotism. If you're wearing body armor, for example, you can't cover up that flag, so it's got to be there on the sleeve. And all of those will be featured on there. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up here on PC Radio. And again, thanks for the boost, for the jump. Lots of things going on in the news. We know that the president has COVID. He was hospitalized late last week, and now this this morning. I was watching on the Fox News Channel Sunday Morning Futures. He was on there. He was talking about how great he's feeling. He's feeling much better. Lots of work to do. 29 days now until Election Day. 29 days until Trump is winning in a landslide electoral college victory. However, Biden will refuse to concede, and that will spark rioting. It'll spark looting and burning. It'll spark ballot harvesting. It'll spark cash for ballots. And since they can't beat him, Stucci, they're going to have to try to cheat him.
You know, it's amazing. You know, we sit here and we're hearing stories about Biden not being willing to concede, but yet we hear the same people from Biden's team worried that Trump is not going to concede. I mean, the hypocrisy in every single argument, anything we talk about today, gentlemen, there's going to be a massive hypocrisy twist to all the arguments that we're witnessing today. Now, in regards to President Trump and being sick, for one, quick recovery, brother.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Do you people, even if he was sick, even if he had like severe flu style symptoms, what do you expect him to do? Do you expect him to come and show weakness to the American people? Do you expect him to come and show, oh, I'm not feeling well today, I'm going to have to just stop my job as the president of the most powerful country in the damn world because I got a runny nose and a flu? No, he don't want to give people the impression that he is so sick he's not able to run this country. So even if he does feel sick, he's going to come forward and he's going to try to motivate the American people to keep pushing forward because, like you just already talked about, we have an election coming up here in about a month.
Yeah.
And so there is no time for downtime, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, and that presents a matter of national security as well. When the leader of the free world is less than par or feeling ill, what better time to strike a hostile adversary or an adversary at all than when they're on their backs and they're vulnerable? Now, I have been called a conspiracy theorist before, and I'll admit that I have delved into some conspiracies. You're no secret to that, Mr. Ghost Hunter guy. So, you know, but here's my deal. I don't really believe that Trump has COVID right now. And and if he does, he has some mutated form of it because he's already had COVID. Okay, I have an inside source. Remember when Trump was busted taking hydroxychloroquine by the mainstream mob media, and they went after him about, well, why are you taking it? Why? What are you doing? Well, he said as a precautionary. No. At that time, Trump had COVID. And you can choose to believe me or not. I'll never reveal my source on that, but let's just say that they're close to the president, and I know that for a fact. So anyway, he already had it. So here's what I'm speculating, okay? When Trump was going into that debate, the debate number 1 with Biden, what was the big story in the mainstream media? Trump's taxes, right? That's all they were talking about 24 hours a day in the news cycle. Trump's taxes, Trump's taxes, Trump's taxes. Well, he's a calculated individual. This guy is 5 steps ahead of everybody. So what does he do? He goes into that debate and he comes completely unglued. He interrupts Biden. He acts what the mainstream media is calling now like a school child, okay? And that's fine. We'll get to that as well about why he did in the debate what he did. But then after that, the very next day, were they talking about Trump's taxes anymore?
Well, of course not.
No, they were talking about the way he acted during the debate, right? And then the story, news coverage, 24 hours a day, and the mob media was, look at how he was doing that debate. And then boom, COVID. Are they talking about the debate anymore? No. Are they talking about the taxes anymore? No. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is a flagrant, blatant, shameless liar, all right? What I'm saying is that there are political strategies to every campaign. And I don't think that it's above the president to introduce stories to cover up other stories. And I'm not saying that he's trying to cover up bad things. He's under no obligation to release taxes that have not been audited. He's going through an audit right now. So the way that those taxes came out, number 1, should be investigated. How the Times got a hold of those things, and somebody should be held criminally responsible for that.
Absolutely.
And the party of tolerance and the party of love and unity is now saying, when is Trump going to condemn hate? Well, 5 minutes later saying, I hope this guy dies of COVID. Yep. It's just you were alluding to the hypocrisy that we deal with the liberal leftist radicals and these progressives. That's just another example.
I like the conspiracy that this is how Trump is going to unveil the vaccine or the cure. Before election time, there's a cure. The president has COVID, and then in 20 days, all of a sudden, there's going to be this mass distribution of some kind of vaccine or some kind of cure for coronavirus.
I don't know. Rocky,
it might be a stretch, but I like to go with that one.
I don't think there's a vaccine. I really don't think that there is.
They said it was coming out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
He said October to December.
You know, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm sure as hell not going to be the first one in line to get a vaccine that is unproven and untested. And I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be having no chemicals. But Stu, let me go back really quick to what you're talking about, the informational, possibly the manipulation of information. I'm a huge conspiracy guy, but most conspiracies that I've researched in the past are absolutely real conspiracies, but they're conspiracies against humanity, against American people or other people.
Yeah.
And you go all the way back to the 1960s and you hear about how the CIA used to pay off journalists. They used to manipulate information in the best interest for the national security of this country. And that was all the way back in the 1960s. And we're talking millions of dollars. When you come up to our current election and you look at the COVID thing and the different conspiracies that are revolving around President Trump and having COVID-19, you are talking about gaining power or losing power of the greatest and strongest, most powerful country in the entire world. And right now, there is so much corruption deep behind the scenes that if the Democrats don't gain power, then their corruption will get exposed. And if Donald Trump does not keep his power, he will not be able to expose this corruption. Mm-hmm. So when you bring up the fact, are they willing to manipulate information in regards to the election, COVID, getting people to stop talking about Trump's taxes, getting people to stop talking negative about Trump? I think something like this, a scenario like this, is absolutely 100% plausible, brother, just in the fact of the importance of the trophy and the willingness of what they're willing to do for the trophy. We're talking trillions of dollars at hand here. So could they be manipulating information or taking advantage of certain circumstances right now to make Donald Trump look better or to make certain information go away? It's politics 101, brother.
We've talked about, the massive amount of tests that he just dropped. Mm-hmm. And what was it, like 150 million tests that he dropped? And these are going to be used in restaurants and schools and things like that to determine whether or not our kids can be in school, which I think is a big joke because there's not one case, not from Wuhan, not one case around the world where a child has given this thing to an adult. There's not one. But we do have documentation of places like Milwaukee that are purposely fudging the numbers. Yep. They're purposely enhancing these numbers. For example, Rocky, if you're in Milwaukee and you have 3 gunshot wounds to the chest and you go to the hospital and you code and you die, if you had a little fever, if you had a little cough when you were going in, I mean, I would imagine people are going to cough when they have 3 gunshot wounds to the lungs, right? You're going to be labeled a COVID death because you don't even have to have a positive test at this point. All you have to do is a physician has to say, yes, he exhibited some type of COVID-19 symptoms, so they're going to label it a COVID death. This is right in front of everybody's face. It's right there. We talked a little bit before, and we've talked ad nauseum on this show about the lack of scientific data that proves that masking works, for example. And when you have... For example, you can walk into the restaurant with your mask on and then go sit down and take it off and then go to the bathroom and put it back on and then come back and then you can take it off again. Come on, man. I mean, people are really this stupid. They can't be. They can't be that stupid. So this has become 100% politicized. That's what this is. Wearing a mask is a political statement. Richard, to that,
Big Rich. The Stu man just threw out a, come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, he just Biden'd everybody.
Let me add on to this conspiracy a little bit because I think there's some much greater, sinister things going on here in regards to this COVID. Because recently, my whole town here, they just put out a letter, gentlemen, and on this letter is that they have their Hudson has their own advanced social distancing policies that they're going to implement here in the cities. And here's the thing: for the businesses that comply, you get a really nice golden star sticker to put on your window if you're abiding to Hudson's policies of social distancing and not allowing people into your business if they don't have a mask on. And if you don't comply to the city ordinance, then you don't get that pretty golden star. I don't know, gentlemen. The last time I remember golden star being put on people's windows was during World War II in Nazi Germany. And I think what they're doing is evaluating the complacency and non-complacency of people. How willing are they to comply if they're afraid? And how many resistors do we have in the system? How many businesses? So the problem I have with this is now you're dictating what businesses get business and what businesses don't.
It's a brown shirt approved business.
That's my bot. Absolutely. It's a brown shirt approved businesses. And if you resist, you get fined, you get put in jail. This is not the country that I grew up in, gentlemen.
And then they're going to protest outside of your place too. Now you're at risk of other penalties like being assaulted or being publicly shamed or having sit-ins outside of your business.
Yep.
This is escalated so tremendously, and I think right now we're on a 1 compared to the 10 scale of civil unrest that we're going to be at on the evening of November 3rd, which has to have you thinking. Do you think that would be the time for the Insurrection Act? For the president to roll the tanks right down Main Street America.
I was at the Moose not long ago, Rocky, and it doesn't matter if everyone in there is wearing a mask or not. There were so many people in there. If COVID is so super contagious, everyone's dead. Well, the whole place.
Here's another problem too, because we're hearing about all these local schools now that are going on these new forms. 2 days here, you got to go. Then you get 3 days off. The problem is, and something I've been observing and people giving me messages about what's going on in school, kids, folks, are exchanging their masks because they think maybe somebody else's is cooler.
Yeah.
They're exchanging their masks. Mm-hmm. They are touching their faces so much more when they go to school because they're pulling their mask down for a breath of fresh air. They're putting their mask back on. They're touching their face. You are touching your face more by having a mask on your face. Kids are coming home from school. The inside of their mask are full of snot and cough debris and whatever else is on the inside of that mask.
And they're trading?
And they're trading masks at local schools here where I live. They're trading masks. Folks, I'm telling you something right now. If you feel safer wearing a mask, wear a mask. But we're big people. We're grown as adults. And you know what? If we feel like we're going to cough, then we're going to keep our distance away from people, especially people that have been proven to be more susceptible to this disease than others. We don't need to be talked to like we're in preschool. We don't need to hold hands while we're walking down the hall, and we don't need to be told what time we can and cannot go to the bathroom. We are responsible human beings, but we do not need to have this forced down our throat. That's the problem.
Rocci Stucci Media is hosting a Red Wave Convoy. That is coming up Saturday, October 10th, starting at 10 a.m. I'm just looking here on the Facebook group for Minnesota Conservatives. If you're not a part of Minnesota Conservatives and you live in Minnesota and you consider yourself a conservative, then join the group Minnesota Conservatives. And tell us a little bit about what's going on here on October 10th at 10 a.m. as many details as you're able to give us.
Well, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to create awareness, right? We're not going and burning buildings down. We're not going and threatening people. We're not going and doxing people. We're not going to harass people. And we're definitely not going to go have our little children flip off people that think differently than us. All we try to do every weekend in October, we have an event set up. If it's going to a bridge and holding up a flag, if it's doing a convoy, it's just letting people know, 1, we support our blue. 2, we love our damn country. And 3, we're going to support our president no matter what media wants to ram down their throat. So on October 10th, what we want to do is we're doing this big caravan. I think, Stu, if you look at the numbers, we have a pretty good amount of people that are showing up and a lot of people that are interested. We're going to be doing a loop around 694, 494, all the way around the Twin Cities, waving our American flags, waving our support the blue flags, waving our support the red flags, waving our Donald Trump flags, because it is essential that the silent majority starts having a voice, and it is essential that we stop being so damn afraid of showing publicly who we support politically. And it's time that we stop being such afraid speaking our views, because the radical left, legitimately, this is not theory, the radical left is shutting down our voice. And if we truly believe in the Constitution, get up off your ass, get that American flag out in front of your yard, get to that convoy, get to a bridge, and say, you know what, I don't give a shit what you think about me. This is my opinion. This is where I stand, and I'm not going to be afraid to speak.
Looks like close to 400 people are going, over another 1.2 thousand interested in going. That's gonna make a big statement. Also, another event upcoming that I was just talking to you about off the air is down in, Mankato area. Waldorf, Minnesota is where it's located on October 25th at, let's see here, October 25th. It starts at, it's at JR's Barn at 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. And there's going to be lots of really good speakers down there. I know Rich and I are going to speak. Let's see, Duron Slater is going to be there, CC Davis, John Mitchell, and then how about this? The featured speaker, Joy Villa, is going to be down there, as well as Elizabeth Bangert. You're going to be there, Rocky. I'm sure that anywhere there's a microphone, you definitely tend to gravitate to that and end up on stage in front of people. So I would imagine a keynote speech by Rocci Rocci Stucci over there as well coming up. That
Absolutely.
is again on October 25th, JR's Barn, and that's on looks like 45th Street in Waldorf, Minnesota. If you want more details on that event also is posted in Minnesota Conservatives, and it's all part of helping to turn the state red. We are definitely a red state. We're red everywhere except for right downtown Minneapolis, St. Paul, right in the Twin Cities metropolitan area, and then up near St. Louis County in the Duluth area is what won the election just by such a small margin for Hillary Clinton back in 2016. And I just, in 2016, Rocky, do you remember 1,000 people doing flag waving Trump caravans? I mean, because I don't remember that.
No. I don't remember the level of patriotism. I don't know if it's fear, gentlemen. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, this campaign season is a lot different than what we witnessed in 2016.
Yeah.
I've seen more boots on the ground this time around. Honestly, I've seen more boots on the ground this time around than the last probably 3 or 4 elections that I've witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
It's inspiring to me. It's the silent majority is waking up. It's the love for this country, and people are starting to realize that we do have a radical left with some very sinister goals for this country. And unless we're willing to stand up to do something, the future of our children is compromised. So it's a beautiful thing. I love everybody for doing it. God bless America. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a little more volatile this time around, just because of the pure hate for the man that's sitting in the office, and the way that the other side of the aisle has painted him and demonized him. And all the people that are just falling for this shit day in and day out. I mean, it never stops. I'm considering just pausing or muting or suspending my social media pages. What? You can't even see laughing babies on Facebook anymore. It's all Trump and Antifa and fuck America. Screw America and all that, Yeah. It's crazy.
I called it the FCC violation. There it was right there. And, Rocky comes on the program, and then Richard gets loose-lipped, and the next thing you know, here we go.
The wheels fall off.
It's about $750 right there. And, wow. All right. Well, anyway, no, and I don't remember boat parades happening. I don't remember, the demonstrations, the rallies, the pro-freedom, pro-America, anti-killing babies, for example. I mean, it's okay to be against that now, and you feel like there's other people that also have your back nowadays when you're standing up and you're saying, no, I believe in this. But I do think that there's a lot of intimidation going on, and I do think that there are a lot of people that are scared to, even on social media, say that they support the president in fear of not only they're losing their family members and friends or losing their family members as friends, but being removed from Facebook altogether. I know over 24 people who have had their Facebook accounts, Rocky, completely deleted. Yep. They don't have access to their pictures anymore. They don't have access to their messages. And a lot of people, when they exchange information these days, they're not saying, hey, let me get your phone number. Let's become friends on Facebook, and then I'll message you through there. I've got a lot of contacts that I don't have their phone numbers. If I need to get a hold of them, I message them through Facebook. And there's a lot of people that don't have mine, and that's how they get a hold of me as well. Not going to be able to do that anymore. And I don't know if their algorithms prohibit you from setting up a new account, because maybe they go, oh, no, this is the same guy and he likes Trump. He's pro-America, and anything that is anti-Biden or pro-Trump is suspected to possibly get you deleted. There's multiple people who I know that have been deleted from stuff that they said over 2 years ago. So it's pretty scary times that we're living in.
Well, what's even scarier is that you guys, both of you gentlemen are fully aware of what happened in Stillwater, Minnesota. It was either last weekend or the weekend before with the new Black Panthers walking around carrying their guns, which you have every right to. We support the Second Amendment here, but there's a difference between patriotism and conservatives supporting the Second Amendment and then a group of thugs walking around with AR-15s and different style similar guns as a form of intimidation. Now, this is not voter intimidation because they're not there to garner a vote politically. They're there for a movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. But you want to talk about intimidation, that if you don't support this organization, if you don't come forward and say, I support Black Lives Matter, or if they come up to you and you don't raise your fist in the air, then you get viciously attacked. And that is not what this country is supposed to represent. And the part that bothers me, gentlemen, is that how is that allowed to happen? How is this intimidation allowed to happen? How is it they want to attack conservatives, but they're not going to say boo about what's going on with Black Lives Matter? They're not going to say boo about what's going on in Portland. You're going to get Biden, who's not even going to come forward and condemn BLM or condemn Antifa because they're all part of the mob, the leftist freaking mob. You know what I'm talking about? And I think when you refer to the boat parades, when you talk about the bridges, when you talk about the patriotism and the grandmas and the grandpas and the uncles and the aunts, all coming out of the woodworks to say, I love this damn country and I'm going to start speaking up. I think that is intimidating the living hell out of the left. And when we see more patriots coming forward, you're seeing the left get more and more aggressive on their political attacks.
Are you going to stick around with us for another segment here?
Let's do it.
All right. I got to pay some bills here. So coming up in the second half, we'll do more with Rocci Stucci, Rocci Stucci Media. He's going to tell you where you can find him as well. But if you search Rocci Stucci Media on Facebook, no doubt you'll locate him and his some 25 or 30,000 followers. And rightfully earned. Great programming on Rocci Stucci Media. The Situation Room every single weekday. We'll tell you when and where to find that. Coming up right after the break as we talk more patriotism on PC Radio. My name is Stu, that's Rich. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stick around.
We will force votes.
We will not stop.
Any Republican senator is part of the cover-up.
What the f***?
Impeachment.
Impeachment.
This is madness.
The PC Radio Show with Stu and Rich. Back in a minute.
Hey, it's Stu Peters with the Patriotically Correct Radio Show, here to talk to you more about Johnson Jewelers. I talk about them a lot. I talk about them because they're paying us to, but also because we have personal experience, or at least I do, with Johnson Jewelers. And if you have not had personal experience with Johnson Jewelers, it's because maybe that you were unaware, but now you are aware. And whether you're located near or around Woodbury, Minnesota is irrelevant, because Johnson Jewelers can provide service to you no matter where you are, globally, internationally, as well as around the world at johnsonjewelers.com. Maybe you have that old pendant or crest or stone that you want turned into a custom piece of jewelry. Maybe you have some jewelry that needs to be restored, or maybe you want something completely new made for you. You have something in mind? Just a quick visit to the website, a couple of phone calls, an email exchanged here and there, and you have the personal custom piece of jewelry meant for you. Visit them online right now, johnsonjewelers.com, johnsonjewelers.com, that's johnsonjewelers.com.
Prop 25 ends our right to put up bail for anyone, even though they may have been racially profiled. Prop 25 replaces bail with computer algorithms. Academic studies show that these algorithms are biased. Some call them black boxes. And Prop 25's new bureaucracy delays justice for innocent people stuck in jail. The NAACP asks you to vote no on Proposition 25.
Hey, it's Stu Peters and Richard Leonard for Adjust Today Chiropractic. Now, I want you to take a look at this. This is the website for Adjust Today Chiropractic, which obviously is at adjusttodaychiropractic.com. Dr. Dustin Ducart says you're in good hands. He believes everyone has a chance to experience the benefits of chiropractic care. He'd love to find out how to skillfully take care of you and your spine, and that can be done even on Saturdays. He makes himself available on Saturdays. And Richard, you know how important it is to be properly aligned.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's no secret that proper alignment is good for you, not only in just an everyday health aspect, but also, I mean, it can help things that you don't even know that it helps. Now, Dr. Dustin Ducart does specialize in like athletic pain and things like that, but also, I mean, chiropractic care can help with allergies, migraines, all kinds of stuff. Visit him today, adjusttodaychiropractic.com, adjusttodaychiropractic.com. That's adjusttodaychiropractic.com.
Streaming live worldwide. Stu and Rich, Patriotically Correct Radio Show. Mojo 50 Radio.
Welcome back to our second half here of the Patriotically Correct Radio Show. Rocci Stucci hanging out with us once again, and we appreciate you being here, brother, talking about all kinds of exciting things that are upcoming. We have on October 25th, we have in Waldorf, Minnesota from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Joy Villa's going to be there. Rich and I are going to be there. It is the MN Freedom people are putting this on along with Minnesota conservatives, and basically what this is it's a freedom rally. If you enjoy individual liberties, if you enjoy freedom, if you enjoy conservative values, if you don't like baby killing, if you don't like looting, burning, rioting, assaulting, maiming, killing, shooting at cops, then this is the place that you ought to be. Rocky, you've just made the commitment that you're going to be there. I'm going to bring my kids down as well. Bring my kids right up on stage with me. You know why? Because I'm going to teach them conservative values. And I think that is what we have lost here in our country, is where everything is supposed to start at home, around the dinner table, where you teach your kids conservative values and you teach teach your kids, what to believe in, and the fear of God, and having a personal relationship with Jesus, or whatever your faith is. Those conversations are supposed to happen around the dinner table, and Rocky, they just don't seem to be happening anymore, which is why we are where we are. This is the exact result of raising generations of millennials who are now going to be coming into the time of their lives where they're now able to vote, and not only vote, but actually able to run for election and start running this country. Scary thought.
Very scary.
It is a scary thought, and gentlemen, I want to say this too, because, when we talk about what's going on with the inner cities, this is something that your show and my show have been pushing a lot, is the breakdown. I believe law enforcement is the end result of an already existing problem. They're just a consequence of somebody, whether it be the way somebody grew up, or the neighborhoods they grew up in, or whether they become a drug dealer or not. When we talk about the importance, and Stu, the reason I'll bring this up is because how you talk about you're bringing your kids to such a beautiful event, right? Because you're trying to instill that patriotism, that love for country.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at the breakdown with our inner city. We look at the crime rate. We look at the murder rate. We look at the black on black crimes. And I was watching this black professor speak last week talking about the importance of home values. And a lot of these young black men are growing up in fatherless homes. And the first authority of a man that they face in their life is a police officer. And that's why we have all these horrifying interactions between law enforcement and the black community.
Yes.
And when we talk about raising our children, I got a good friend that does a lot of work with the Amish. We look at our current culture today in society, and our kids, it frightens me, the mentality, the cruelty that our younger generations have. And these schools and our educational system is part of this problem. But if you want to prove to the fact that the way we raise our children is effective, is you look at the Amish community. No matter what you believe or what you like or dislike about any specific communities, there's one thing that you'll learn about the Amish community is that they do not fray from their belief. Right. They raise their children through humility and hard work. You have 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old Amish boys that are out driving tractors and farming every single day for their life, and they don't complain. That has to do with structure. Whether it's Amish, whether it's biblical, whether it's religious, it's structure. And we don't have structure anymore in our society. Our homes do not have structure anymore. We're too busy putting a lollipop in someone's mouth instead of disciplining them. Our educational system does not have the proper structure anymore. So what exactly do we expect when our kids go into the real world when they weren't prepared for it?
That's exactly right.
Well, and we've talked about it before. If we take a look, a good long hard look at what the differences are between the generations of today and the generations of yesterday, and you, Rocky, you mentioned the Amish community. I think that this is probably one of the biggest problems facing our young people. And like we talked about before, as it relates to law enforcement, people in the past, before these types of things came out, weren't used to seeing cops doing real cop work at the drop of a pin on Facebook or a video or whatever. And now when it's put out into their face and it's accessible, they don't like it. People don't like violence. They don't like to see people they support being perpetrated, if that's what you want to call it, especially by the cops, right? Because that's the man, and that's them people are out there hurting my people. And so it's just, and if I'm not mistaken, the Amish culture and the Amish community, their belief system is based on something that was years and years and years ago, before, all this bullshit that we have now that taints the minds of our children was available.
Yeah. And when are we going to get back to a country where people start having those conversations? We talk ad nauseum about the fact that we can't even talk to people that are in our own family. We can't talk to people on social media without them absolutely going completely bonkers. And, it divides people because we've become so polarized, and because people's feelings are allowed to be hurt so easily. But I don't remember reading in the Constitution anywhere a clause or a statute in any state where it says that you are protected from getting your feelings hurt. Right. When I talk to you, Rocky, if I say something that hurts your feelings, effing move on, dude. Or we could fight maybe, or, you could actually just, how about this, be an adult and say, I think that what you said was actually a little bit insensitive and inappropriate. And what I really think is this and that. But we can't do that anymore. Instead, we have to go to this completely blown up, walk away nanny state. I mean, we're protected by the government. We're protected by the police are being called for somebody's feelings getting hurt. There was a woman that was in either Stillwater or Hudson not too long ago who called the police saying these people are looking at me. Well, I mean, yeah, they're probably looking at you because you're a big effing weirdo and you're saying things that are, typically socially unacceptable in a public place. Like, how about this? Why are you guys all looking at me? Well, if they weren't before, they are now, which brings me to the point of racism. Everything now is racist, okay? If I don't agree with you, that's racist. It used to be that was gay, but you can't say that anymore, because if you say that somebody's gay, that means you're a fag, and that's offensive. So you can't say that shit anymore. So now it's racist. If I don't agree with you, that's racist. Okay, well, racism in and of itself has become so watered down that is actually what should offend people that are non-white. People that really feel that they are being racially profiled should be really pissed off that everything is racist, because it used to be a big deal. If somebody calls me a racist now, Rocky, I just go, yeah, probably. Because, I mean, you don't agree with me, so I must be a racist. Just by having this show, by having an American flag in the backdrop behind me, by voting for Donald Trump, just that, I'm a racist. By the way, nobody's been able to ever actually show me something of substance why Donald Trump is a racist. And then furthermore, when somebody says that they're willing to not vote for Trump and they're going to cast a vote for Joe Biden, or if they just start really trashing Trump, my thing is always, okay, if you're going to go vote for Joe Biden, that's on you, right? Hey, that is your right. You can go vote for him if you want to cast a vote for that guy, by all means, go ahead. Can you, without mentioning Donald J. Trump, tell me why? Without mentioning Trump, can you tell me why you're going to go vote for Biden? None of them can do it. I have yet to have one person say anything positive about Joe Biden. It's always just negative about Trump. And that is how electrifying this man is. That's how captivating this man is. He's 5 steps ahead of everybody. And I'm telling you, he knows how to control the cycle of media.
And since when do we as Americans have to even entertain the conversation about expounding on why we're going to vote for who we're going to vote for?
Right. Well, this all comes down to the selective outrage. When we look at, I don't know if any of you guys watched that Social Dilemma. If you have not watched that documentary, Social Dilemma, I expect you guys, everybody, to watch it. These are the former people from Google and Twitter and Facebook and Twitch, and they talk about how algorithms, there was something you were talking about at the beginning of the show, Stu, algorithms, and how algorithms are selective on the content they want to distribute to you to keep you into it. And what sells, ladies and gentlemen, is hatred. And so it's selective outrage. So when Stu, you're talking about, you go up to a Democrat and say, why are you voting for Joe Biden? And do not use Trump's name. They can't, because the selective outrage has turned human beings into monsters. So they're voting for Biden because they hate Trump. It has nothing to do with policy. It has nothing to do with national security. It has nothing to do with the economy. It has to do with pure evil hatred. Hey, there's Democrats I don't like, but I'm not going to not vote for them because I hate them. It's because I disagree with their policy. We need to get back to that.
Well, yeah, I lost my train of thought. I lost what I was going to say. But yes, Rocky, you're absolutely right.
That's what happens when Rocky starts talking. It's like you get into this little trance and you just hear everything that he's saying, and pretty soon it just starts overtaking your mind.
It's that deep, sexy voice.
Yeah, it's like this involuntary hypnosis, and all of a sudden you just have to. Oh, wow, he's right.
Well, we've lost the ability as Americans to think for ourselves without being influenced by the things around us. We've lost the ability to actually, so these people, Stu, that you ask about why they're voting for Biden, they have not taken one effing second to get on their phone or get on a computer or do some reading and figure out why they're going to vote for him, why they agree with him more than they agree with the policies of President Trump.
Well, you can't do that, because if you go to Google right now and you type in anything about Trump, the results that you're going to get are going to be negative Trump and positive Biden. So you don't even have an objective way to go do that. We did not vote for fascism. We did not vote for communism. We did not vote for socialism, but yet here it is. We absolutely 1000% have a fascist society going on right now, and that's proven by the fact that the media can outwardly lie lie shamelessly. And when they're called on that lie, they don't have to apologize. They don't have to correct the story. In addition to that, Google, Facebook, Twitter, every single thing that the people have to objectively be able to do their own research has been so swayed now to the point where Comrade Zuckerberg is even deleting Facebook ads for President Trump, campaign ads. They're going in there and they're physically removing them so that you can't even see them. Where are we and where did America go?
Well, did you ever think for 1 second that you would sit down and watch the evening news where we have major cities under attack from radicalism, where they are taking over blocks, city blocks? We're talking about buildings being burned, businesses being shut down, and then the president tries to put an end to this and send in federal troops. And when our mainstream media and the leftist population condemn our president for law and order, before we're a democracy, ladies and gentlemen, we are a republic. We are a land of law. Yes. And if our president does not have the capabilities of restoring law and order in our streets without being attacked from our own media, Stu, I'm telling you something, brother. If we're not already at that fascist point in this country, we are dangerously damn close.
That's extremely true, man. And here's the thing: if you go on, so there are sources that you can find to sway your decision one way or the other. Even if I could tell you that if somebody asked me why I was not going to vote for Joe Biden, I would go right to the Library of Congress website and look at everything he's done with his career. And that would be a swaying point for me. You've had all this time in Congress and in the Senate, and there's no results. You sure collected one hell of a goddamn paycheck.
47 years. This guy has been in elected office. He has never held a job. He has never run a business. He has never employed anybody. He has never paid taxes on income that he has rightfully earned. He has lived off the tit of the taxpayer for 47 years. By the way, 8 of those years were serving as the second most powerful man in the free world, as the vice president under the administration of Barack Hussein Obama, who was apparently the first duly elected African-American man that was voted duly by the American people into office not once but twice. There goes your theory of racist America. Second of all, not only was he voted once, he was voted twice. Okay, so we elected a black guy twice. And then during the most, what do you call it? Racially diverse administration, apparently, is what Obama's legacy he wants it to be, which, by the way, it wasn't, because Trump has more black people in his administration than Obama did. But during those 8 years, if race is the biggest, most sensitive issue, injustice by law enforcement, police brutality, police killing black people, then why in 8 years was none of this ever addressed? None of it was ever addressed. Why?
There were bigger fish to fry, Stu.
Oh, no, that's a perfect example, though, and that's a valid point, because if you think about it, when we talk about manipulation of information, if we can all understand how that works, then we'd be able to absorb information differently. When you have somebody like a Joe Biden, who's been in office 47 years, going on 5 decades, but yet right now, he's coming forward and promising you all the things that he's going to fix. Even though he had 47 years to do all this, he's going to come now and he's going to do it. That is selective outrage. That is the selection of information to where if we are observing from the outside and we're watching how quickly people on the left jump on board with Joe Biden, even though he's had 47 years and they're not even questioning his record. Let me ask you boys something. When was the last time you seen CNN, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, any of those networks even say anything remotely negative about Joe Biden? Tell me one time, just once.
Well, none.
I don't watch them.
Yeah, but the other thing too that I want to talk to you about and bring to your attention is that not only here's again about Trump controlling the media. The news media nationally, whether it be positive or negative, talks about him 8-1 over Biden. 8-1. So whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter, because what do they always say? Bad news travels even faster. If you, Rocky, for example, have 100 people or 1,000 people that like your show, or 10,000 people, but then exponentially more that hate your show because they don't like you, but they listen just to see what is that asshole going to say next, right?
That's right.
So if I have 50,000 haters versus my 1,000 people that actually like me and agree with me, I'm going to do pretty well because my message is going to resound. Same thing with Trump, and he knows exactly what he's doing. So if I'm Donald Trump, or if I'm his campaign manager and I'm sitting back seeing this, hey, I'm perfectly okay with this. But as a citizen, somebody who's looking for responsible journalism, somebody who's looking for some truth, no, you can't go to regular traditional media anymore because all of the BCs are a bunch of BS. NBC is actually new BS. And CSN, CNBC, whatever they are, they're all a bunch of BS. They're all propaganda artists for liberal progressive radicals who now control the country, and it's up to Americans to try to see this and vote it out. It's not that hard to see it. It's right in front of your face. Just go turn on the media. Be an independent thinker, a critical thinker. Use your own effing brain instead of allowing the nanny state of the government to tell you what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Because let me tell you something, this is a slippery slope. And when it starts with mask mandates, what is it going to be next? Your kids are masked up in school and have to sit 10 feet away from everybody at lunch. They can't eat lunch with their friends. This has gotten to a point where it absolutely has to stop. This is an invasion, a total invasion, not a physical invasion, but this is what do you call this? A structural invasion to the infrastructure, the founding blocks of our country. They are stripping your rights away right before your face. And for you to sit there and for 1 second think that this is in the name of safety or health, you are absolutely living under a rock. They are pulling the wool over your eyes from the sheep that sits right next to you. You are being played. This COVID-19 thing is the biggest dupe fest to ever be perpetrated on the American person. It's sickening, it's disgusting, and for you to allow it is absolutely critical to the future of our country, and it's going to be irreparably damaged between now and election time. And I'm telling you something, if Joe Biden gets elected and the national mandates come out, that's just one of many things. Your cities are going to burn. Every single one of them is going to burn. And it's no coincidence that when you look around, all the cities that are burning right now are democratically controlled by liberal progressive radicals.
You know, it's funny because I have a lot of friends that live in Egypt. I got friends that are archaeologists, and they were in Egypt in 2011 when the revolution happened against the Muslim Brotherhood. And then I remember it was 2012? Obama, or was it 2016 when Trump became president? All during the Women's March, they're all wearing the face coverings, like the Middle Eastern face coverings, but with the American flag.
Yeah.
And they were celebrating it. I had a conversation just the other day with one of my friends from Egypt, and we were talking about the mask thing, and we were talking about the oppression that when you cover your face and go into public. And that was one of the main reasons they had the revolution in 2011 in Egypt, was because the oppression of the people, of the women, face coverings, the lack of identity, the lack of not being a human. That was one of the main reasons they resisted, was because of that oppression. Now, Can we, from a psychological level, right now, look at an oppressive state when we are wearing face masks, when we're being forced to wear them? Is that creating an oppressive state? Because it is definitely changing the psychological state of people in this country.
We're a third world country. Getting there, you know, by all sense of the word. I mean, look around. Cities are burning. They're literally on fire. Law enforcement officers are being shot at in broad daylight with little to no threat of arrest or prosecution.
Right.
And when they do arrest them, it's not big news. It's not really even big news that they're being shot at. But let a cop turn around and shoot somebody in the most justifiable use of force situations and let them be a non-white and see what happens to the news cycle.
That's right.
So I was talking to somebody the other day, and I can't say that I 100% agree, but his theory made sense about this cycle that our country goes through, and just society in general. And that, you know, we may be at the apex of this cycle where maybe the country, he said maybe Biden should get elected, and maybe this country should implode, and maybe it should burn to the ground, and then we can get back get back to the normalcy, you know, in 10 or 15 years. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to wait 15 years. I don't want to live under communist rule for 15 years. But, you know, I mean, he had a whole lot of other facts to back up his suggestion. And I don't think he supported it either, but it was just an idea that he was sharing.
I understand the point, because basically what he's saying is let them prove us right. But unfortunately, if we allow them to prove us right, then there's going to be like an economical crash. There's people are going to lose their 401s. There's going to be civil unrest. There's going to be civil war.
It's going to be complete hell.
Yep, I understand that. But
then
go ahead.
And so, well, what you're saying is, and then all of us who are going to be, as Stu would say, on the right side of history, are going to go, all right, I told you so. So now that that's over and you dummies are done doing your bullshit, let's get back to life.
Right.
You know, I mean, I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it 100%, but you know.
So I understand the point. And then while you were talking, Stu, I seen you kind of had some disgust in that because you don't believe that we should have to get to that, I'm assuming.
Right. We'll never get it back.
Right. But you said something at the beginning of the show when we talk about the youth in this country and, how do we get back to the original style of Americanism, the love for country, the work ethic? How do we get back to that point to where we watch out for neighbors? How do we get back to the point where we watch out for our law enforcement? How do we get back to the point where we love our country again as a whole?
Do you want the answer or is this rhetorical?
Well, no, it is an answer because so you have one theory to where let it burn, prove us right. But then you'll have a question to how do we get back to that? But at the current status quo, there is no solution to getting back to that. It's actually getting worse. So the question is how do we get back to that point?
More involvement by fathers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great answer.
It's very simple. Yeah. More involvement by fathers in the household. And I think that listen, we don't live in the day and age where the dad is the breadwinner and goes out and works and the mom is the disciplinary, or the mom nurtures and takes care of and the dad comes home and I'm going to tell your father what you did while you were gone and then the belt comes off. And although it should be that way, because listen, there were a few things that were going on in the 50s and the 60s that we probably don't want to go back to.
Right.
But moreover, what was going on in the 50s and 60s between Americans? We loved each other. It didn't really matter if you were white or black or Christian or Muslim or any of that because we weren't so polarized because these things were not in existence. Okay, so I'm not saying that we need to take technology away, but what about, I think the big thing is, and when I say involvement by fathers, what I mean by that is introducing the thought that you as an individual, Rocci Stucci, have the ability to independently reason and make up your own mind. And then when you decide that you believe in something, you don't so fervently believe in it that you're opposed to hearing any other facts in the future that may lead you down a different road. You have to be accepting of all information and then be able to process that on your own. And I don't think that that's learned in a classroom. I don't think that that's learned in college. I don't think that that's learned anywhere but around the dinner table or in the yard playing catch with your old man. Maybe in the deer stand or on the boat fishing. When these longer conversations can actually happen. When your son, who's 8 years old like mine is, about to be 9 in November, looks at me and says, Dad, what's the big deal with all these Trump signs and Biden signs and all this stuff? Take the time to actually explain to him who these people are and what this actually means. Because although he's a 9-year-old and probably is not going to process all of that, you can at least give him the foundation of what it is that these people are doing. These people are showing support for somebody that they believe can help us run the country. Donald Trump is the president. He knows that. Joe Biden's running against him. He knows that. He knows that his dad is all about Trump, but he doesn't really know why. Take the time to tell him why. Take the time, not by trashing Biden. Okay, not by saying, well, because he kills babies. I mean, you and I can sit here and talk about that, but Jesus, can you imagine the psychological impact that would have on an 8-year-old? Kills babies. Right. I mean, the thoughts that would go through his head would be, so you have to be responsible about it, but you can explain the rights that you have, you introduce the Constitution to them. I mean, you don't have to read it word for word, a bunch of legal mumble jumble that nobody's ever really going to understand, but you have to be able to start teaching your children. And until you start teaching your children, because like I said, it doesn't happen in the classroom. And the only teaching that's happening in classrooms right now is indoctrination. Because for some reason, the educators of America have adopted this theory of social justice, okay? For some reason, the teachers have gone so far off the cliff to the left that we can't even trust them to be educators for our children anymore. And so it has to be done at home, because if it's not being done there, and if there's a lack of involvement by fathers in America, you end up with a ghetto, as proven by statistical numbers proven in areas like the south side of Chicago or Detroit or Baltimore or Philadelphia. The problem plaguing the black community is not necessarily the guns. It's the mentality that holds the gun. And that is because they had no father involvement while they were growing up. Fatherless homes is the real problem. That's what we need to get back to. If you really want a true answer to the question, that's what I believe it is.
And to go along with that, our young people today have lost the ability to problem solve. They've lost the ability to be able to fall down on their face and figure out how it is to pick themselves up and move on to something better. And again, that starts with parenting. helicopter parents that don't let their kids fail.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it such a huge deal for your kid to, at 17 years old, go $400 negative in his bank account, and then you tell him, instead of putting the money in there, well, you better figure out how you're going to get that to zero. And then once it's at zero, you don't have to pay any more fines or fees, then build that back up instead of just bailing them out all the time. And this helicopter parenting also, I think, and it's probably more in suburban areas than it is in the hood. But, I think, Stu, we see it all the time that these people have no idea how to problem solve at all.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because of the fact that there's no dads in their homes, which I think is a huge problem. Right. But, society just doesn't know how to solve problems without violence or blaming somebody else. Or
and then it's lower expectations, right? So if you don't hold your children to that higher level of expectation, then they're going to know that the bar of success has decreased so tremendously. Like you walk in the door with your thing and you say, hey, I took my quiz and I think I failed it. I thought I failed it. And then dad's going to go, Jesus, an F? And then you break it out and go, oh, but I didn't. I got a C-. And then all of a sudden dad's happy. Well, no, you shouldn't be happy with a C-. And what I say all that to say this, excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink. So if you grew up in a fatherless home, you can still be better. Even if you didn't have a dad, if you grew up on the south side of Chicago in the hood where gangbanging was the thing that you were supposed to do, you can still change that. You can still be better, as proven by so many people who are successful of color in this country right now. The fact of the matter is, it's easier to collect a welfare check on the first of every month. It's easier to have a bunch of excuses for yourself, and it's easier to say, F this, I'll never get out of the hood. It's just easier. And you know who else has glorified that? Is Hollywood and rappers, music industry. All of these people have glorified this stuff. Stand-up comedians have done it, and and then you look at somebody like Cardi B. She's got 38 million Twitter followers or something like that. So she's got all the influence that she needs. Rocky, on October 10th, you are having your parade. Where should people go to meet?
Just for all the information, just go to my Facebook page at Rocci Stucci Media and go to the events section, which is just right down there on the page, and it'll have the full itinerary right there for you. There may be some changes as time progresses, so I just urge you just go to Rocci Stucci Media, go to the event, click on it, and put interested so you get update notifications on that.
Wonderful. And then we'll have more details about October 25th coming up as well. Until tomorrow, here's what's up to it. Here's what's down to it. Here's to any way you can get to it. Here's to those that don't do it. May they be dragged to it, tied to it, or forced to it. And here's to us who do it, because we're the ones that's used to it. Remember to fly low and avoid the radar. One day they're going to come for the car, and when they do, save the radio!
The enemy of progressive politicians and politically correct assholes. PC Radio. Worldwide at thepcradioshow.com.